So today we're going to be reviewing how to play Hearts of Iron 4. Uh, this is a basic guide how to play Hearts of Iron 4. I'm going to go through the basics, so like what to do, what to build, and how to design tanks, airplanes. So now that we're in the game, what you want to do first is your research slots. Alright, so click on it, and then what you want to do is click industry, the far right icon, then do basic machine tools. These are like the main like focuses you want, research things that you want to focus on. So like production, construction, you always want to be doing these when you're playing. Okay. So next two you want to do is go to electric engineering. That one. Then usually what I do is it's really up to whatever you want to do with this last one, because it's like you can do this one, or you can do like this one, or you can get your logistic company here and now. You don't really need to do fighters until like 1940. You really don't need to do any of this until 1940 or focus on this because you already have like everything up to date. So what I'm gonna do for this one is I'll usually go with this one. So it would ask you if you want to do a military industrial organization, part of the newer or the not the newer, but it is part of the newest DLC. So you want to click on it, and so that's your research slots done. Okay. Next thing you probably want to do, it doesn't you have to do this in order, but just before you unpause, and do civilian factories. So you open up the construction tab, and you have infrastructure, air bases, anti-air. The only time you want to build any of these three is probably air bases. Air bases are how many fighters you can hold, or fighter wings you can hold into in a certain province. So say if I push F3, so this one it can hold 1,200 planes, and it is a level 6. So if it was level 10, it would be 2,000. Alright, but right now we're focusing on civilian factories. Civilian factories are the factories that build other factories. Say like, so if I shift click and click on Brandenburg, they start building 3 civilian factories. 3 civilian factories are being produced by 15 civilian factories. The more civilian factories you produce, the more stuff you can build. So say right now you can look over at factories, these top things, so these factories. So right now we have 34 that can be used, and we're using 23. So in the beginning of the game, you always want to build civilian factories. So like you always want to build civilian factories in the places where there's at least 80 infrastructure. That just supports how fast you can build a factory in that state. So Brandenburg, Hanover, or that whatever that one is, Rhineland, Northland, Hessen, Lincoln, and Württemberg, and that one, and that one. That's basically what you're gonna build from now on. From like these should be done by like 38, early 39, and that's when you want to start building military factories. The next thing you want to do is do production. So choosing what to produce. In the early years, you want to produce infantry equipment, so the guns that are supplied to your army. Support equipment is for like support companies like engineering, logistics, recon, other support companies. Then artillery. So what you want to focus now is mainly infantry equipment, support equipment, towed artillery. Okay. And tanks are, of course, you need to produce them, but just leave like one factory. I usually leave one factory because you don't need producing light tanks, because light tanks are easy to produce and you don't need many factories on them. And motorized trucks. Trucks are used mainly, or for two purposes mainly. First purpose is to facilitate logistics. Okay, so you look over here next to your fuel. Logistics. So if you hover over this with your icon or cursor, it'll show you how many trains you need, stockpiles, your trucks needed, and stockpiles, your convoys. If you do a naval invasion, stuff like that, you need convoys. Don't forget to build those. And so what I usually do is just put one more on, so 3. And then so what they usually have is fighters, this BF 109D, and Corsair support in Heinkel 11. So what I usually do is I don't produce any tactical bombers because they're just really hard to produce, and I think close air support provides more benefit than tactical bombers. Okay. So what I usually do is do at least put 5 factories on it. It doesn't have to be fully fulfilled, but just put 5 factories on it, and then this is basically what you want to go with. So mainly you want to put 10 factories on infantry equipment, okay, and 5 on support equipment, 5 on artillery, 1 on tanks, 3, at least 3 on trucks because you need a lot of those, and at least 5 on BF-109s. And close air support you want to put at least 3. And so Navy, what I usually do is just just complete it. So just put 5 on all of them, and it will just start building. And don't focus on your Navy as Germany, because it's not really beneficial to you. You can never catch up to the UK's fleet in these early years, and what you mainly want to focus on is doing planes, tanks, and infantry. Okay, so now next thing you want to do is factory focuses. Okay, so what I usually do, I'm not saying this is the specific way you should do it, is for historical Germany, what you want to do is you don't have to do this first, but you can do Rhineland. But what I do is I do 4-year plan. This gives you this guy, Polymer Schacht. He gives you a bonus to building your civilian factories. So in that early years, you want to build as many civilian factories as possible. So that guy boosts your construction speed by 10%, which means you make more in a less span of time. And usually this is the first political advisor I use over on Marshak. So what I'd usually do is go 4-year plan. You click on it, you can read this, gives you some details, gives you research bonuses for industries, and gives you the political advisor. So you click start. And that takes 70 days. Most focuses take 70 days, but some are less. So, alright, next thing you want to do is assign all your infantry divisions to a army. Okay, so what you want to do is shift click this button. So you hold shift and click it on assign division. That selects every single division you have. You just want to click create a new army. Okay, and that creates your new army. And so that's every single division having it. What I usually like to do is separate my panzer divisions and motorized into another army. So what you just do is just click or shift click, and you can select your divisions, your panzer divisions or motorized divisions. You click this. This separates them into a new army. That's what I usually do, because I like having them separated. When you assign your general to your army, what you want to do is just see what his traits are. You have infantry officer, which gives a bonus to experience factor to get this trait. Infantry leader can lead to infantry expert, which gives your infantry divisions 10% attack. And on the other side of this, ambusher gives you max entrenchment. So max entrenchment is just how much entrenched that infantry division can get entrenched. So say if you're on the defense and you want your infantry officer to be ambusher. So if say for the Soviet Union and you want your guys to be entrenched, it takes time to entrench, so they will not get entrenched immediately. So say if I left this infantry division here, you can check if he's entrenched. This says right here, infantry unit entrenched. It gives you a bonus to defending on that tile. But after you get everything set up, you know everything that you want it to do, you can do. What I usually do is start training my infantry divisions. Alright, so when you have multiple armies, you have this 24 and 2, you can create an army group, which means it just, so say if you were to do a front line, this is the front line button, you can shift click and click on it, which makes it a line. You can, if you click this button right here, you can division assignment modes. When you have all your divisions assigned, you can click on it and they will go there. and they'll be assigned there. So when you have multiple armies, it's easier to put them on front line than individually. So here, do this for each army group, okay? And so when you have a army group, you have to assign a field marshal. With the field marshals are these guys. So we have Gert von Rundstedt, Gunther von Kluge, and Walter Modo. But if you want to go on the attack, it gives bonuses to your division. So field marshal just gives bonuses to your infantry division. That's all the generals do. But these just give bonuses to logistics, and just some notes, side notes, I would guess you'd call it. The button to exercise your divisions are K. The shortcut to do it is K, but you just click it there, and they'll start training. So what training does is just improves the experience level of said division. As infantrymen die, the reinforcements of said to the division will be green, so the experience level will eventually get deteriorate. Okay. So and I like to train my division, so I get army XP. What army XP is used for is go over to recruit and deploy. You see your templates. So division template is what your infantry division consists of. So currently we have infantry divisions. This is all of our infantry divisions we have right now. So it consists of nine infantry. Sorry for my dog. You have 9 infantry divisions, and it has 4 companies: infantry, engineer company, and artillery company. Okay, so you want to eventually upgrade this infantry division, because right now it has only engineer and artillery. I mean, like, it's not the greatest, but it's not the worst, because you're not going to do any fighting between now and 38. So what you want to eventually do is have something like, I can't afford it now, but I'm showing you. It's something like this. So like 9 infantry battalions and 2 armor attachments. That gives it a good soft attack and defense. And if you want to add anti-tank to it, you can. But what I like to do is add it as a support company, not as a combat. So eventually what you want to do is get at least like a cavalry recon and a say logistics, and then you can either supplement it with like an anti-tank or anti-air for company, just in case, you never know in this game. Alright, so that's what infantry templates are. Okay, tank divisions. So they have 4 light tank battalions and 2 motorized. This division is good for like fighting in the civil war in Spain. That's about to start in the next year or 2. This is okay. It will do great against the Spanish military, or the Spanish Republican Army, because it's just good. It's good enough to do it. But what you want to do is eventually do medium tanks. Medium tanks are a good all-around tank, and you have to design the tank too. Alright, so you do get 2 free templates of tanks. You get the Panzer III Office A and Panzer IV Office A. Those 2 are good. When we get to that, I will show you which one's better. The basic stuff it would be like political power. Political power is what you need to do political advisors. So see this number right here, 150. You need 150 political power, and you have to complete the focus Westfall. And then stability just reflects how stable your country is, gives you some bonuses. Your war support is how willing your people is going to war. So say if you were low war support, you would have a higher surrender limit, and affects your stability while you're at war. And manpower. Manpower is how many men you have in a pool. So to create infantry divisions, you need manpower. So to recruit an infantry division, you need 9,600 men. 2 divisions, you need manpower. Manpower is reflected up here. This is the total amount of men that you have currently to make divisions and to replenish your current divisions that are in fighting. Yep. And when you do run out of manpower, you urgently need to either raise your conscription level, which you can find in laws and governments, the first one. Currently we're on limited conscription, so say if you're really low, like 5,000 manpower, you go up to extensive, and if you really need to go up to it, go service by requirement. You never want to go up adult serve and scraping bro. If you do, that means that you're not doing well. Anyway, I'm gonna sidetrack. So the next thing is your factory count, which shows your factories. Current fuel. Fuel is, you desperately need it, because if you run out of fuel, your fighters can't do well, your tanks can't move as fast, and I'm pretty sure your logistics will start failing too. So what you want to do, you don't want to cancel the meat bills. Canceling meat bills will just lead nowhere, because it just improves construction speed and reduces your factories. So under laws and governments, you have limited conscription, you have limited exports, so trade law. Trading in this game, you would find that here, trading. Okay, so you can have oil. As Germany, you don't have oil. You have good enough aluminum. These are the resources you need to produce certain stuff. So say oil is needed to produce fuel, okay, and the more fuel you have, the more tanks you can be in the field, more fighters in the air, stuff like that. So rubber is to produce fighters and trucks. You desperately need rubber. And the only way to get rubber, other than trading with like these countries right here, is to build synthetic refineries. The way to get it and to improve it, say, is right here. So you get rubber processing, oil processing. If you keep upgrading these, you get more fuel and more rubber for each synthetic refinery. And so we should go through some certain things like international market. So this is in a new word DLC where you can buy equipment on the market and sell equipment. So say if you have a surplus of tanks, you can sell it on the international market. Other people can buy it, and you can receive civilian factories for it. And so this is your logistics tab, right? Logistics tab is basically how much you have in your stock, how much surplus, how much you're producing, versus how much you are needing right now. And then officer core. Officer core is basically your officers and how you want to build your army. One doctrine into mobile warfare. And since you're Germany, you're going to be mainly doing mobile warfare, and tanks, stuff like that. So this is one you should do. Okay? And you always need one upgrade it because it gives you certain bonuses. So say if you were going to get enough army XP, get delay, it gives your infantry division organization. And then say if you want to keep doing that, elastic defense, what you want to do is go down this blitzkrieg one, which gives your tanks breakthrough, organization, recovery rate. So you just want to keep mind of this when you have enough XP. When you're fighting, you gain XP, and when you fight, you want to always upgrade your doctrines. So what I usually like to do is I usually like to go with army drill because it takes less time to deploy divisions, and you can get more divisions out in a quicker time. And gives you more army XP gain daily. You can do preferred tactics also. So say if you want to do a preferred tactic like breakthrough or unexpected thrust, that tactic will be used more often in battles. And so let's go back to the air tab. You press F3 or to this button down here. So what I usually like to do is select all of it. So click and drag all, and click to there, and they'll all deploy to that airfield. Okay. So I'm gonna unpause real quick and let them. Right. And when they're all there, I like to merge all our air wings, and so they're all condensed into one. And when you train your fighters, what it gains is army air experience. Air experience basically means you can design fighters, tactical bombers, close. You can design planes. Same thing goes with naval XP, which as Germany would not be focused on. Alright, so I'm going over some basic stats for tanks. So right now we have a tank division that has 22 organization. For our tank divisions, we want at least 25 and maybe 30. And adding more medium tanks or tanks in general add less organization. The way to gain organization is infantry. So say if I want to add 2 more and add 1 more, it would gain 27 organization. So for tank divisions, you really want to go with, so if you're doing medium tanks, you want to go with a balance of soft attack and hard attack. Basically, soft attack and hard attack means, soft attack means how many attacks you can do against tank division. Say if this tank division went against, say if this infantry division had no anti-tank and could not effectively pierce our armor. Basically, if a division can pierce your tank division or this armor rating right here, it means that they can kill more tanks, which basically means you can do less attacks in general. So you always want to have a higher armor than what they have pierced. Okay, and if you can't effectively have enough armor, just have enough piercing to counteract their tanks, and or if they have infantry divisions, just don't attack it with your armor division. Good is pure mediums like this. I'll show you with motorized like this. So like you can even like make this less like not like this. You can just experiment with it. Like what combat width should be like around 24, 26, or 22. So basically, combat width can go with any width above 20 to 24, maybe in 26. Basically, but what that basically means though is, so if you look, I'm not sure if you can see it though. Say if like you went to this tile right here, if you look at it and you hover over here, combat width. So that basically means how many divisions it can fit in that. So say if you have 24, it can fit at least like 3, maybe some more. Okay. But basically each tile has different like combat width. So like different tile things. So it's like plain would have the same thing, but like if you go over here into these mountains, these tiles would have 70. Maybe I lied. Basically, different tiles have different uh combat width. So say for Warsaw it's 80, for Berlin it's probably 80, and Paris 80, urban 80. So for garrison, so when you take over territories, you can click right here to see. So right here, this is basically our garrison. It'll be 0 because we are occupy no foreign territory. So say when we take over Poland, this division that you have selected will be the garrison template all occupied territory. So say if you took over Poland, you want at least somewhat, at least one point in time make a division that is mainly for garrison cities, stuff like that. So what I usually do is to have your infantry division not be it, but to be cavalry division. I know it's less suppression, but easier to make somewhat, and it takes less men. So basically, what you want to do is make your cavalry template your garrison. So the way to make better garrison templates is to come over here into support companies, go to military police. You want to research this at least sometime before or after the war. You want to put that as a support company so it boosts it Russian. With if you mismanage this and you don't have a good garrison template and you don't manage clients and resistance stuff like that, it will affect your logistics, and the resistance will start sabotaging buildings, railroads, air bases, stuff like that. So you have to at least get a good template division, and at least start to calm down the people. There are different management types, different for default laws. So you can have go no garrison, which gives you more manpower but adds to the resistance. So, like right now, we're a military governor. Right now, I would usually go down to civilian oversight. It basically means less manpower and gives you more. It gives you no bonuses to resistance or to compliance. So say if I wanted to go to this one, it would give 15 less percent resistance, but 0.025% resistance. The one thing I haven't been talking about is intelligence. So basically, intelligent agency is you don't want to create this, and now you can create this now if you want to, but you don't really have to. So basically, this is to gain intel on Poland, but you have to put operatives into it, and when you create it, you get one operative, and with that operative, you can do counterintelligence, which we have 0 now, or we could put it onto build a spy network, and with those spy networks, later in the game we can do certain operations and gain intel on Poland or the Soviet Union. But as Germany, you just want to build up counterintelligence because there's not much you can do against the nations of UK, France, US, Canada, basically the allies. There's a lot of nations that are gonna be in your country, and what you want to do is build as much of counterintelligence as possible. That's basically it for that one. So basically, now I'm gonna go over designing templates right now. So the only templates you can design right now are armored vehicles, like you can't do armored cars, but for like armored vehicles. So right now we have a Panzer II and a basic heavy tank. So right now you don't have anything really. Well, you do have something good, which is this Panzer II, but it's gonna be it's easy. Light tanks are easy to produce, but are not the best at doing really much against other tanks, because medium tanks can medium tanks are good all around. Light tanks are good like fast. If you want to build light tanks, you want to go with a certain mindset with it. So what do you want this tank to do? You want this tank to break through and just be a Speedy Gonzalez. Okay. Basically, you can go through here and you can change what turret it is. You can do a three-man turret or 2-man turret. Which I like to do personally is have a 3-man turret, and then right now these are the guns. So basically you can choose basic anti-air, but you don't want to do an anti-air for your light tank. So what I usually do with is when you unlock like high velocity cannons, which you get after researching anti-tank right here. After like this one is done, what you want to do is get this one anti-tank done, so you can get a high velocity cannon. Basically that means high piercing but low soft attack, and higher hard attack but high piercing. I like to go with this for my light tanks because so it can at least kill the other tanks that's fighting while it being killed too, because as long as you pierce the other tank, you can do more damage to that division. And when you do get that, you put that on your light tank, which it costs stuff. So radio just gives you more breakthrough in defense. Special features basically mean, so if you want sloped armor, it gives you more armor to your tank. Wet ammo storage, reliability, but really reliability is, you shouldn't really care about that much, because all it does is how much attrition or how much stuff will get damaged in attrition, because it doesn't really matter that much. You should at least, you don't want it to be 0, you want to be at least be above 50. Okay, so what I like to do is fuel drums. Fuel drums basically, it means it can go further, has a higher fuel capacity, and if you want, it's really not like experiment. Basically what I'm trying to say is experiment. Go with what your gut says, but the ones you always want to have is at least sloped armor, because it gives you tank more armor. So it doesn't really matter what you do. You can do none. It just gives you basically what these do is just add bonuses to it for army XP and just make sure to produce it more. So those are those slots. So these slots basically suspension. You want to go with a suspension. You can go with a non-traction. You can go with a wheel suspension, but the problem with that is reliability and your harness go down. It's easier to produce. So basically, this is just trade-offs you want to do. So like, say if you want to stay with your suspension, which gives you max speed. So with a light tank, you want to go as fast as possible. You don't want to be a slow mover. You want to be fast. So what you want, criticality suspension, and when you have a chance, you want to go up to at least cast armor, or when you unlock a armor level tier, you want to go to welded armor, and then you can put the engine of your tank. Alright, so for the engines, basically the one you want to avoid is petrol electric. Basically, just like a it's really hard to produce, and they don't just want to avoid it. But like, there's different bonuses. So for a gasoline engine, max speed. For a diesel fuel engine, it is a reliable thing, basically what it is. But for our build, we want to go to gas. And we can't produce it now, but what you want to do is like put our so just basically upgrading our engine, making it go faster, more reliable to go down. So with the light tank, you want to at least have a better engine and like 5 armor, like so you at least want it to survive level 1 piercing of anti-tank piercing of 60. So that light tank with 40 armor can. See, right now I have 23 armor. It can get pierced by basically level 1 anti-tank. And to get better, higher, you can go a higher number with that anti-tank or armor on your tanks. Is this one? You can go above 5 armor upgrade, and this if you like increase this, you can do better stuff. Like right here, you get welded armor, basically 30% more armor, and you get side skirts with this one, and then basically it. So you do want to eventually do these to increase your tank's armor and engine, but you should not focus on. And back to artillery. Right? So what you want to do is after you get basic focuses done, you always want to do at least 2 in here. So if once you finish this, you want to go down first or concentrated. Basically, these basically mean are dispersed, more factories in a state, and 10% more output. That's for like bigger nations like Germany or the Soviet Union. You get more factories per state. Basically, the more factories you have, the more stuff you can produce. The more stuff you can produce, you can produce with your states. There is a debate, I'm pretty sure, on what to do, but up to you. Look at these bonuses and whichever one you think is better. To say if you want to do more 5% more factory output, it's kind of a minor number in my sense, but you can have 20% more factories in a state and 15% more factory output. It's really up to you. Say if you were a Soviet Union and you didn't build an air force, you probably want to do this because your factory bomb vulnerability will be reduced by 15%. It's really up to you if you want to put anti-tank in your divisions as a support company as a battalion. At least one, like at least you want to get this so you can get at least basic high velocity cannon, and then you want to get to 1940 because it would give you. Oh no, sorry, I lied. 1939, this upgrade gives you a medium cannon. You can put that medium cannon on your medium tanks. It basically gives you a good, well-rounded cannon. So your soft attack has 20, hard attack 15, 60 piercing. And then it also gives you this squeeze bore adapter. Basically, you want to put this on your tank, on your light tank or your medium tank to increase your piercing of your cannon by 10%. And let me just go over air. This is basically what you want to do is you want to go with an agility fighter. Basically, which means is having a better. So let me just go to the design to show you. So right now we have where is it? A BF109D variant. Right now you have an engine 2, so basically it's more speed, more thrust, more fuel. So right now you have 4 light machine guns. What you want to do is add, when you have enough XP, you want to add at least 1 cannon. I like going with 1 cannon with a engine 2, but when you get to engine 3, you can go with 2 cannons. Okay, and that basically means so adding like a cannon now will increase our weight, which in then turns makes our agility goes down. So it's like a balancing game. You want a heavy fighter with more air attack, or do you want more agility fighter with a better engine but at like lower air attack? I like to go with agility, but you can go with you know 2 cannons and engine 2, but just be mindful that you know, better, more agility fighters will kill yours more than you will kill theirs, but it's really up to you. And you can add for like tactical bombers or casts, you can add like this has a light defense turret, so it has some type of or air defense against like other fighters. Transport planes are used for dropping parachutes or doing I show you since we have 85 or 80. You can do these missions right here. So right now if I were to select here and select air supply, say if I was fighting here and I had low supply, I could supplement it with air supply. And while we're on the topic of air, design certain fuel things. You can do the same thing with army. You can assign them to theaters, which personally I don't like to do that. It kind of gets confusing because you can't see where it is. What I like to do is just keep them one condensed air group, and so there's air superiority. So with your fighters, you always want to have air superiority. So if I click this, click here, 281 fighters are on air superiority. So if I click on this, it shows how many fighters are in here, what's anti-air guns, what's our anti-air guns, and so say if we were to fight against fighters right now, our efficiency would be 2%, our air detection. You have to, to fight for other fighters, you have to detect them too, and which you can upgrade with your air doctrine. Air doctrine, for air doctrine, you want to go down battlefield support. Basically, it just means it improves your CAS, and basically just means they will help your. It basically just improves this middle one improves your CAS and your fighting. So like, say you want to go down here, you have choices to do certain things. It's really up to you, whatever you want. Hallmark Shaft, which I'm doing now. You click on him, he'll be assigned, and gives that bonus until he's either you reassign him or do it. So what I personally like doing is warrior plan and then Wineland. Basically right here, see how there's like a red line right here? You can't send any troops into there because of the Versailles Treaty. And if you have historical AI on and make the AI, if you have that on, they will let you go into the environment. Off, they have a decision to. France and Britain has the decision to invade you or to, make you back down, or they will go to war. Same thing with demands for data limit. So now that we have selected Rhineland, we can unpause. And so while we're on the topic of focuses, and let's go do them. So to do like ancillary, you hover over it says you need to be at least fully independent and at least 500,000 manpower in divisions in the field, and more than 40,000 infantry equipment in the army. Alright, so what you need to do then is when you have enough infantry equipment, you need to click. You don't have to click O, but O is a shortcut to bring your division over. So basically, these are all your divisions and how many battalions you have. So you click here, and it shows you how much manpower you have and how much equipment they're supplying. And for like tanks, you can see what your tanks are, how many tanks are, stuff like that. You see your bonuses, all your divisions. So you want that to be 500,000. So what you need to do is start building. I like to build like at least 12. So basically, what the tank designer does, or tank organization does, is it provides bonuses based on what you choose. So like, we have the way you gain traits is by researching with that, and it will gain passively funds. Right. So for design, you can do breakthrough, and it gives you 5% breakthrough bonus. It's basically just breakthrough and gives you bonuses. You choose for armor. I usually like go to it. You can choose whatever you want to do, but these just provide bonuses to your tank. So say if you want to do a really fast tank or a really reliable tank. So that's basically what a military industrial organization does. It provides bonuses to your tanks. Alright, so we've been producing an infantry division. So the way you produce it is you have these, you click train and you do how many you want and how many amounts that line does. So say I click this button to 1, I click to deploy in Dresden, I click there deploy instantly, it'll deploy there and it'll only do 1 of each. So say if it was on infinite, it'll just keep deploying infantry, or it will keep training infantry divisions. And so if I click this button, we'll deploy them all, and they'll train another line of 11. We don't want to do that right now, so now that you have a new army, so you just assign them to where you want to assign them to, and then let's check how much men we have in the field. We have 375,000. That's not enough, so we want to do at least 12, at least 11 more. Also, a side note on the military generals, they have a certain capacity. I know I touched on that before, but if you sign more than this, if I signed like 7 into this, they will have a penalty to leading those divisions, and they won't be as effective as they would be under that limit. Also, side note on front lines, you can regular cohesion. Say if you're on a big front line, you want to do flexible cohesion. Basically, what that means is they will relocate from longer distances. Say if you had like to reorganize your front line, you would probably want flexible or balanced cohesion, or it will only like redeploy from. Say if you want your divisions to redeploy from the north to the south, you would put them on balance, so they would only go from like here to here, or medium to here. If you want to go rigid, you don't want to do this one because they'll only go from like few division tiles. These divisions will only redeploy to like certain tiles. And you don't have, when they're on a front line, you don't have to do much. You just click them and they'll go there. And then if you want to go on an offensive line, you have to stop them from training. Oh shoot. So that was a defensive front line, the one I did. So like shift click, they would go there, and then an offensive line would be like this one. So to do a offensive line, you click this one and you drag it. Click and drag, and the green basically means they have enough divisions to go here. So say if I went over here, or I'll show you a better example. So say over here. So that yellow basically means they don't have enough divisions to do what that is. So like here they do, they don't have enough divisions for that. Spearhead basically is only used for like, is only used for I will only use them for tanks, or for if you want to speedily take them over. So for if I deploy my tanks here, oh sorry, leave my. So say if I wanted to deploy my tanks here, I click and drag, and they will go right here to these two tiles. We'll focus on it in a moment. So they'll go there and deploy right here. So I want to do spearhead right here. So they will literally rush across these tiles. So the tiles that are highlighted green now, they will rush towards those tiles to get to Warsaw. And that's basically good for tanks, because if you have that, they'll immediately rush to that tank and rotate them aggressively. So say if you want to have like a fallback line just in case something happens, you have this, and you can just, if you have this unit selected, hold control and click, they will go to this line. So as you see, they'll try to hold that line. Same thing with garrison. So if you have some garrison troops like cavalry division with garrison or area defense, you click here, and then they'll garrison. So if you click on garrison, click certain provinces that you want them to garrison, and select what they will guard. So say if you want this cavalry division to guard a coastline or guard naval bases. Naval bases are more in danger of naval invasion by the AI than coastline. So you don't want to defend all of this. You just mainly want to defend you only want to garrison your naval bases. Okay. So now that we're reviewing lines and the strength and weakness of each of your divisions, let's go review next national focus. So after you're done with Rhineland for your whatever way you did them, you want to go for these. You want to get your civilian factories. Got 12 civilian factories, 12 civilian factories. You need those in the order to produce military. After you get these two focuses done, you want to either go for your medium tanks, so you can start producing your medium tanks. You always want to get that before like 30, like early 38, late 38. You want to do focuses. Then after that, or before that, before you do these two focuses, you should do Anschluss. Basically, you get Austria. Then after that, you want to do these two focuses. And after that, you can either demand Sudetenland and get, yeah, or you can do line Hungary and Romania. Basically, doing this focuses will eventually mean that Romania and Hungary will like join your faction. And after that, you can do integrate war economy. Basically, when they're in your faction, you want to do this when Hungary and Romania are in your faction, because when that happens and you do this focus, they'll become your puppet and they will gain military factories, and you'll gain 4 military factories too. Basically, this basically makes them your puppet, and when Romania is your puppet, you get to get free access to it. So pay less civilian factories for this 84. Alright, so now that the traits are unlocked, so since you research stuff with traits, they have a trait. So you can do right here, you can do reinforced stocks. Basically, it gives bonuses, defense, talk attack reliability. If you want to make marines, you have to go over here, research this one. Gives you marines. They just basically are specialized in amphibious invasion. And with this one, you don't want like an infantry division, so you want like 9 marine battalions and like 2 artillery, but you also want them to do engineering. You want them to have a engineering support company, artillery, maybe anti-air if you don't have air there. You want to make this a well-rounded division so it can survive on its own. Now for supplies that I haven't touched on, so it might seem overbearing, but right, basically what this shows is how supplied these troops are. So right here, you can tell by the color of these tiles, this troop right here is not getting enough supply. So the way to get higher supply everywhere is so you click this military base, motorization level. So basically, if you shift click it, it means it has basically motorization level. So if it has 3 trucks, if it's just cavalry, going to do certain things. So motorized, let's see right here, it increases the range of that supply level. Another way to increase the supply range is say click here in your army, then go over here, motorization priority. With that 3 times, it basically means that from this supply cap, supplies will reach this first. For Navy, for Germany is not that, you shouldn't really focus on it that much. But for like, say if you're UK, you want to focus on getting better carrier hulls. If you're fighting against Japanese, Japanese can do suicide attacks against you, so they can just use planes to crash into your carriers and kill them. From experience, they are very deadly. So if you're UK fighting against Japanese and they are experienced, make sure you have deck armor. Deck armor is needed to stop fighter suicide attacks. Navy is weird that some people just don't know what to do, which I think is basically true, because with my experience, what I found is helpful is just like if you want your destroyers to do certain things, like if you're UK, you know your Germany's fleet is so minute that yours will basically that you get will beat that one. But say if you're a Germany player and you say if you're a UK player going against Germany, multiplayer Germany will always build subs because subs can kill convoys, and convoys can disrupt trade, supplies to amphibious assaults. So, as a UK, you want to be mindful that you want to produce your destroyers that you are producing as a player to be as depth charges. Depth charges are good anti-submarines, and it's kind of complicated when you open this. So, say if you want to go to destroyers, create variants. It's similar to the other designers where you can get a military industrial. Underwater subs is sonar and stuff like that. And radar is for carriers, you can detect more stuff like that. Okay, so to wrap it up, this is a good start to Hearts of Iron 4. Hearts of Iron 4 may seem complicated, but roots, it's just you're clicking buttons and ready to go. Building civilian factories, infantry equipment, tanks, support equipment, airplanes, stuff like that. Also, Hearts of Iron 4 is very fun and single player. There's so many nations with focus trees. I know there's a lot of DLCs. I've bought almost every single DLC except the new one because it's useless. But there's a $8 subscription service to buy all the expansions for $8 a month. I mean, it's only $8 for like $20, like 10, $5, $20 expansions. When I bought Spider-Man 4 2017, it was a very different game from now than it was. There's multiple videos by other creators that show how it changed over the years. And it's a really better game than when it was started, because Spider-Man 4 Basic is terrible, god awful. But now it is a good game, which I put at least 2,000 hours in, and it's really, really good. It's a fun game. You can do as many things as you want to with it. You can do many challenges. There are achievements. I don't have achievements available right now, but there's so many achievements. Well, that'll wrap it up, guys. So today that was an overview of just Hydrovan 4 and a starting tutorial to Germany and some tips and guide sort of onto Hydrovan 4 itself.